What's going on, sliders? It's another beautiful day with the Gran Coupe I. As you guys can see, the Gran Coupe I is looking better than ever. Car has been running fabulously, no issues at all. But I have ran into one issue, and it is that I've gotten used to the power. And I think it's time to slap in a bigger turbo. So that's what we're gonna be doing today in this video. As you guys can tell, this is not your average B58 engine bay. So I got a few extra things that I have to move out the way before I can access the turbo down there. But let me show you what I'm slapping in here. Nothing too crazy. Check it out. So what I have here before me is the dynamic AutoWerx B58 Ultraflow. This is the Gen 1 version of this turbo. I know that they came out with the new Ultraflow X and the R. This is simply the original Ultraflow. I've had this turbo sitting in my closet for months. I bought this a while back and I got it from someone that I trust, that they were selling their car and they had this turbo laying around. So I got a pretty good deal on it. I have just had it collecting dust and apparently a little bit of oxidation here, as you guys can tell, in my laundry closet. And yeah, the other day I was doing some pulls and it wasn't doing it for me anymore. At high RPM, I felt like the turbos were just maxing out, and I think it's time to upgrade to the Ultraflow. If you guys follow my page, you guys know all of my mods, and I'm strictly on direct injection. I do not plan on doing port injection or meth, so we're gonna see how that goes. And I really hope that my tuner can make me a pretty aggressive map on E50 without having any fuel issues. So yeah, this turbo supports north of 800 horsepower. I do not plan on touching those numbers. I would much rather keep it in the low sixes. And yeah, I still want this car to be as reliable as possible, and I also want to be able to slide the car. So my tune is not going to be a traditional tune reaching for the stars, high horsepower, high top speed. I'm more of a low end guy, so I'm really going to see what this turbo is capable of at low end, which is not necessarily what it's designed for. This is more of a mid-range, high-end turbo, but we're going to see how it goes. Look how dusty this thing is. Losing power. That's crazy. That's all them drives by the beach. And there's your turbo. That was easy. And then it's out. So I can pull this out of here. Remember to remove these lines here. You gotta push on both sides and tug it out. I'm gonna need 2 hands for that. Okay, so I just pulled this off. I want to quickly show you where I have to do a little bit of fabricating here, or pretty much trimming. So you guys see this lip right here? I'm sure you guys see it. It's the only thing sticking out. So the new setup has that blue coupler. It slides over the inlet. So if you guys see dynamic AutoWerx aluminum inlet, it doesn't have this lip, so that the coupler can go right over it. So I'm probably gonna get a Dremel tool and I'm gonna grind this down so that it slides smooth right over, and then we can still use our Dynan inlet with our upgraded turbo. Looking good so far. downpipes out the way. Everything's pretty much out the way. We just have to get those coolant lines out the way, release these manifold bolts, these top ones here, all across the top, and then we'll be out of here soon, guys. All right, turbo is out. That was a little tough to pull it initially because you feel a lot of resistance, but you just got to shake it up and kind of break that seal off that gasket. Once you do that, the weight of the turbo is going to bring it down, and you just have to just keep tugging. And this side popped out first for me, and then the other side popped out later, and you kind of have to put your hand on the turbo to support the weight so that it comes off evenly off those studs. So there's the gasket that I'm gonna be replacing. I got the lines off, everything is looking beautiful. Now I'm gonna pull this out of here and show you guys a side-by-side comparison. All right, so here is the new UltraFlow that's going in, and here is the OEM turbo. So as you guys can tell off rip, that opening is way bigger than this one. Way bigger. So that's why I had to trim the inlet, because there's gonna be a coupler there now. Now, check out the exhaust housing. It looks pretty much the same, but at the same time, it doesn't. It's weird. You guys tell me if it looks different or exactly the same. The turbine is probably bigger. Let's see. That's the stock OEM one. And here is the UltraFlow. So the UltraFlow turbine definitely looks different. As you can tell, these fins are there's a lot more fins on the OEM one, and they're a lot closer. This one looks like it has like a larger fins and that are a little bit more spaced out, probably to help with that exhaust flow. So I'm gonna get started on transferring all these lines and the wastegate actuator. Have to be very careful with that, but it should be pretty simple. Just releasing these screws here and popping off this clip here and transferring it over to the other one. Yeah, this is getting exciting, guys. So first line is out. Pulled the oil return line. Came out pretty nice. You just had to wiggle it, shove a very small flathead there. Don't pry too much, just wiggle and pry, wiggle and pry, wiggle and pry, and it comes right out just like that. I also am swapping out the O-rings because the other ones were flat and a little bit dry, so definitely good to have those O-rings. Taking it one at a time. I'm gonna put this one on the other one. I cleaned the turbo up really good, hit it with some brake cleaner, and yeah, I'm gonna transfer it over. Remember to put it back in the same orientation that you guys pulled it off of, so that way there's no mix-ups when the turbo is going back in. This yellow good stuff, you don't need to touch that. Everything is calibrated, so we do not want to mess with any of that. Let's bring this out nice and easy, and this will go right into the new one, like so. I'm actually gonna put this off to the side now that I think about it, because I want to mess with those cooling lines here that are actually pretty tough. So I'm probably gonna flip this around, wiggle it and pry it, wiggle and pry, wiggle and pry. I really don't want to damage anything, so I'm just trying to take my time. And this went in nice and smooth after I lubed the O-ring a little bit. This is they are a very tight fit, so definitely lube your O-rings. Yeah, buddy, I am excited. Tuner got back to me. We should be on the road tomorrow. All the lines are swapped over. just put the new exhaust manifold gasket on the car. Put it on those pins on both sides all the way down. The ultra flow is in. It gave me a little bit of trouble to catch the manifold, but after putting that bracket down below, it kind of lined things up, and I had to give the manifold a little tap with the hammer to make them fall into those grooves. But now we're all in place. I pulled it in also with a few of the old nuts there that you see there, but I have the new ones here that I'm gonna put, so everything is brand new. Manifold bolts are secure. Got the bottom bracket secure as well, and now we are just plugging in those lines. Gotta catch that coolant line back there, and then tightening that. I gotta tighten down the oil drain, the oil return line, and then pull that downpipe up. All right, guys, so everything is back together. I just primed the system. I disconnected all the injectors, and I attempted to start it about 3 times to get oil flowing through the turbo so we don't have any issues. So now I just topped it off with some coolant to get rid of that coolant light, and then we are gonna do its first startup. You ready? It started just like normal, right? It started up just like normal, like nothing ever happened. No engine lights, no nothing. Yo. One other thing. So last night I mentioned I primed the system. So pretty much that is when you crank your engine without it fully starting, so that way oil runs through the new turbo, because the new turbo is usually dry. There's no oil in the lines there. So what I did was pretty simple. I just went to each injector and unplugged the connector, all 6 of them, all the way down, and that allowed the engine to crank. I cranked it for about 10 seconds, about 3 times, to allow oil to go through the lines and make sure everything was nice and lubricated. And then I plugged them back in and she started right up. So that's a nice little tip to prime your engine when you're doing your turbo. The turbo is back in like it never happened. Can't even tell what's going on under there. I'm surprised you can barely even see that blue coupler. Let me just a little hint of blue right there, but other than that, car looks completely stock. Everything went back in as it should. I had to top off the coolant and do a bleeding procedure, which is pretty easy. So now we're gonna go for a little test drive and see how it feels. No wide open throttle pulls until the tuner sends me a new map. For those of you who have been following my build, you know that I'm running a custom tune from Igor's Garage, and you can too. I've had a very pleasant experience remote tuning my 440i with Igor's help. It is a very simple process, and all you have to do is tell him what car you have and what your performance goals are, and he works his magic and sends you a file to flash on your car if your platform allows it. Igor does more than just ECU tuning. He also offers installation. He has a shop in Boca Raton. You can bring your car to him and get exhaust installed, carbon fiber mods installed, and many more aftermarket parts. You guys can contact him here. This is his phone number and his email. But if you scroll to the top of the page, you guys can see where you can fill in a tuning request form, and you can give him all that information that we stated previously, and then he will reach back to you, give you a quote, and tell you what you need to do to make your car fast. So the turbo definitely sounds different. It's less high pitched. I can say that. Less high pitched, deeper tone. It's pretty awesome. You can definitely hear it's upgraded. Before it was like a more lower, it was a more high-pitched whine to the stock turbo. This one has a more profound turbo spool sound. It's pretty awesome how the car's still driving the same. I'm pretty sure if I got on it, it would really yank pretty hard, but the tuner advised me not to do any pulls, so I won't. Sweet. Hopefully we'll be dialing it in really soon. Tune is in, guys. While I was getting a haircut, my tuner, I sent him my last revision and he sent me a new tune for the upgraded turbo. So I just added some 93 to the tank because he wanted me to go down to an E40, so that way we could see how everything's looking. And then now we're gonna go on a little test drive, cruise around, see how it feels, see if there's any hesitation in the throttle, make sure everything's working fine, and then we're gonna do a third gear pull and log it and send that into to the tuner, and then we will get another revision and let's see what happens. Hopefully I don't spin the wheels off. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for the next video. Let's see what this big turbo does on the dyno.